Hey, Vision Chasers, it's Dr. Bird here with a heartwarming history lesson for you today. As you can see behind me, it's Christmas time, and so it is appropriate that I tell you the story of how Christmas was almost canceled in the United States as a result of World War I. Now, during World War I and World War II, the United States did not take up, they didn't have budgeted a lot of money for the defense of the country. Definitely in comparison to today. The government has billions of dollars in the budget for defending this country. But back during World War I, World War II, the government had to rely on the people to chip in even more money and save resources in order to help the country fight war overseas. And so as a result of people trying to conserve resources and supplies in the United States, Christmas was almost canceled in the United States, and it was up to one man to convince this small group of people to not cancel Christmas, to not stop the production of toys in the United States, leaving so many little boys and girls unhappy on Christmas Day. Let's talk about this. So as I said before, when the United States went to war, everybody was a part of the war effort, even if you didn't go overseas to fight. You had people making sure that they reduced their waste. They didn't waste anything. Also, people would plan what were called victory gardens, and our troops would have enough food because the people back at home were saving food. Additionally, and ironically, I believe, it was future President Herbert Hoover who was in charge of making sure everyone in the country was on board with conserving food so that, again, the soldiers fighting the war would have enough food to eat. So he came up with these concepts. So he came up with these ideas of Wheatless Monday. There was a Meatless Tuesday. Here's a sample of what the government suggested people eat for dinner. Here it is. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Cheese sauce on toast. Toast with marmalade. Cocoa and milk for children. So that was your dinner. Imagine that. Yummy, 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 yummy. But it's really interesting that people were happy to do this because they knew that they were helping the men overseas fight the enemy. But more importantly, people at home were able to help the war effort by buying what were called Liberty bonds. And buying a Liberty bond was an act of patriotism. And here's a really simple way a Liberty bond works. So you buy, let's say you buy a Liberty bond for $100. So you give the government $100. They give you a certificate that states that you get this much interest on that bond. So you buy a $100 Liberty bond, and 15 years later, that bond matures, and you can turn in that certificate for $150. So that $50, that extra $50, that is the interest or the cost of, that's the government paying you back for allowing them to use your money to buy weapons, pay soldiers, or whatever. That's pretty much the way it works. And again, that was a huge act of patriotism. And so naturally, the government wanted people to spend money buying Liberty bonds as opposed to buying other things such as, say, Christmas gifts. So additionally, the president created the Council for National Defense. And this small group of people, they were in charge of watching our resources and making sure we were conserving resources and also getting the public to support the war effort. Now, this council, they were comprised of the heads of various executive branch departments, and they would advise the president. And this is really interesting, and this kind of thing would be unheard of today, but they compelled businesses to change what they produced in order to help the fight. Many factories were converted to make ammunition and other things needed to fight the war. So imagine American companies being told today, don't produce any more computers or don't produce any more cars. We need you to make tanks for the military. We need you to make bullets for the military. It's really interesting that these companies went along with this. So the United States entered World War I in 1917, but by 1918, things get interesting with the Council for National Defense because they start to float the idea of people not buying Christmas gifts at all. And a lot of retailers protested this because they complained that, hey, we've already got this inventory and we were planning on, a huge Christmas season where people are going to buy these things. And if we can't convert this merchandise into cash, we're going to go out of business. So the council steps back and they don't ban all Christmas gifts, but what they encourage shoppers to do, and this is also interesting as well, but they encourage shoppers to start shopping for Christmas early, such as in October. Doesn't that sound familiar? You ever wonder why you go into Walmart, Kmart, Walgreens, Target in late October and you see a bunch of Christmas stuff and you're wondering, my goodness, we haven't even had Thanksgiving yet. So that is really interesting. Also, here's another thing businesses agreed to, and I don't think this would ever happen today. Businesses agreed not to hire extra workers for the Christmas season. And they agreed to this request from the council. These workers were busy making bullets and other things that were needed in order to fight the war. So the council reassesses its position, and so they start to ban factories from producing non-essential items. Now, this would make many toy manufacturers nervous because they feared that perhaps they would be out of business and prevented from making toys. And again, there would be no toys for the boys and girls during Christmas. What a shame. So at this point, that's when Alfred Carlton Gilbert, we'll call him A.C. Gilbert, that's what he was known as, A.C. Gilbert, he enters the picture, and he's a very, very intelligent person. And he was most famous for inventing the erector set. And what you see on your screen is a picture of me holding an erector set that I found at an antique shop. Because he had a lot of influence, he was asked by many of the toy manufacturers to go to this council and speak on their behalf and convince them not to cancel Christmas by banning the production of toys. And he was a wise person because what he did before he went into this meeting was he gathered some toys so that the people on the council could play with these toys. And this would be a very smart move. It was reported that he said in this meeting, the greatest influence in the life of a boy are his toys. A boy wants fun, not education, yet through the kind of toys American toy manufacturers are turning out, he gets both. The American boy is a genuine boy, and he wants genuine toys. He wants guns that really shoot. And that is why we have given him air rifles from the time he was big enough to hold them. It is because of toys they had in childhood that the American soldiers are the best marksmen on the battlefields of France. So as you can probably see by now, A.C. Gilbert is very, very smooth. He is speaking their language and he has captured their attention. Let's find out more of what he said. He goes on to say, America is the home of toys that educate as well as amuse, that visualize to the boy his future occupations, that start him on the road to construction and not destruction. And so after he gives this great speech to this council, he brings out the toys. And these grown men, they start to play with the toys. And as they're playing with the toys, they start to remember what it was like to be a little boy. Playing with toys and there's the imagination and many of them had fond memories and they had a lot of positive things to say about their time playing with toys. And so as a result, this council decided not to cancel Christmas, not to ban the manufacturing of toys in the United States. And we all owe it all to A.C. Gilbert for his wise thinking and his well-spoken words to this group of men. Well, that is the story of the man who saved Christmas. Thank you so much for watching, and I have included a couple of things in the description section for you to download to find out a little bit more about A.C. Gilbert, the man who saved Christmas. Well, until we meet again, please keep chasing the vision, and happy holidays to everyone. Bye.